Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats? This program will begin. Please make your way in and take your seats. Thank you.
Hello there, and welcome to The Brilliant Communicator, coming to you live. My name is Nima, and I believe that if you can communicate with impact and influence, your life will be better. Your business will be better. Your personal relationships will be better. Life will be better. Okay, so I get asked this question a lot. People want to me, they come to me saying, I want to be a paid speaker. I want to be paid. The problem is they get offered the opportunity as long as they do it for free in return for exposure. And so the question is, how do they break free from this cycle of needing the exposure, but wanting to be known for their expertise and be paid for it? All right, so I'm going to be sharing with you a 3-step framework that I use, and that'll take you through not only how to make this happen for yourself, but also how to make decisions at different stages, depending on where you're at. But before we get into it, I want you to ask yourself a really simple, serious question. Are you known for your expertise? Are you known for your expertise? Or are you a gap filler? Now, there's nothing wrong with being a gap filler, but it's about you taking stock of where you are at right now in your journey, because the way you approach this framework will be different depending on the answer. So I'm going to take a step back and assume that you are at the, I want to be a paid speaker. I'm still offered the essentially pro bono opportunities because I'm not well known. All right. So, and the other thing is, don't take it personally. You know, I had in a previous life, I had an audience of 300 million people when I presented a program on BBC World. And I had people come up to me on a regular basis saying, will you do this? Will you speak? Will you chair? Will you moderate? Will you be involved in return for exposure? And I think people maybe fall into 2 camps. One is they're chancing it. The other is they actually don't know who you are. They don't know what you do. Somebody's mentioned your name, which is a good thing, by the way. But it was just really funny for me at that point. Okay, so have you answered the question? Are you known, or are you known? You're more of a gap filler. Okay, there's a 3-step process, and it is simply get going, so get started, get better at doing it, and then get brilliant. Be well known, be sought after. Okay, because you see, when you are invited, people want you. It's a very different ball game to you putting yourself forward or somebody mentioning you because, oh yeah, no, I saw them. You're somebody, you know, they know you, but they don't, nobody else does. Okay, so they correspond very closely with my 3 C's. If you know me, if you've worked with me, if you know anything about me, you'll know that I have my 3 C's. They are being comfortable, credible, consistent in how you show up. And these 3 steps kind of correspond to these 3 C's of mine. I'll get onto the consistent thing with a specific example of what I mean in a few moments. All right, so get started. It says what it does. Start. Get going. Start. You don't need permission to do this, by the way. And this is my biggest, if there's one thing I want you to take away, it is the idea of own your knowledge and your expertise, own your life, get started, get going with what you want to be doing next, known for next. No permission needed. So the idea of permission-free, doing this in a permission-free way. Here are 2 examples of how you can do this right now. No permission needed. You can be on LinkedIn doing it, just like me, have a LinkedIn Live, pre-record something. Doesn't matter what it is. Put yourself out there. LinkedIn is a great platform to do this, YouTube, wherever, somewhere where you are comfortable. And ideally, people will, you've got the right crowd on the platform. Here's another way of doing it. You work somewhere, or you work with people at some point, have a lunch and learn, start sharing your expertise and your knowledge. Create opportunities for this. When people do my programs, for example, one of the main things I say to them is, all right, learn by doing. So you've learned this bit, go off and do it, implement it, and raise your profile by hosting a weekly Q&A session on LinkedIn, on YouTube, at work, it doesn't matter, over lunch in a cafe, it doesn't matter where, but start. So these are 2 ways you can do it right now. When you do this, other fantastic things happen, like you get more comfortable. Yay! Your credibility footprint, I call it a credibility footprint. What do I mean when I say that? What I mean is that the number of people that are exposed to you, who get to know more about you and what you do and what you're brilliant at, it increases. It's your credibility footprint. At the beginning, it starts with people in your immediate circle, and it usually starts with you putting yourself out there. But as it grows and expands, it's people who you don't know who start coming into that circle. Fantastic. And it becomes you being asked to do stuff. So you start with putting yourself out there, and then people come and ask you to do it. That's utopia, right? That's where you want to be. Now, the other thing that you get from getting started is that sometimes you might, well, all of us think this, we say, I know what they want, I know what they should do. And you create a talk, a session, a something around what you believe to be true. Now, you might be right, but if you don't get the interest, so you can get attention first, but attention is fleeting. You want interest, because it's literally people leaning into what you're going to say or do or share. They are paying attention. They're tuning into you. That's what you want. And interesting them is key. How do you do this? You do it by speaking to their issues, challenges, pain, aspirational things. So when you start doing this, when you get started, it's not just about you putting your name out and, getting known and figuring out your most comfortable way of doing this. It's also about, think of it as research, live in the moment research. You are fact gathering. You're going, oh, I didn't realize people would ask about this a lot. Oh, I didn't realize that this point is going to be the most important point for people. They keep asking me about, you realize what it is that you must focus on. Start with, include for sure, in order to get the interest of the people that you're speaking with. Cool? All right, so then we move on to you're getting better, you're doing it more often. Yay, you are becoming more known for what you're doing, right? You might even get offered some money. All right, money. Sometimes you will want to do things for free. This is when I work with people, I say to them, and sometimes people come to me saying, I'm doing this, the pro bono stuff is taking over my life. Look, if you can't be sustainable yourself, so if you're running around providing things for other people, but you are not getting the funding in return or the things that you need to sustain your life and yourself, then it's not going to work for anyone. Money is important. Money is how we live and pay for life. And it's okay for you to be paid for what you know and do. It's okay to be paid for your time. Actually, it's really important to be paid. The relationship is different. If you don't need the money, you can donate it, give it away. But being paid, I believe, is an important transaction for lots of reasons. If you're curious to know about this, we'll talk about it another time. My point is, sometimes you're not going to be paid. All right, take a step back. You have 12 months in a year. I would encourage you to say, I'm going to do X number of pro bono events, talks a year. Start with 2, right? You can always increase it when you're making good money and you don't need the money as much. But 2 is a lot, right? Because it's about not just about the number, it's about the amount of effort and time and energy that goes into making that happen, especially if you have to travel. Personally, I would say, even if you do pro bono, get your expenses paid. Why? Because women are much more likely to be asked to do pro bono work than men when it comes to this sort of thing. There's a study that came out that said women, over the course of a year, 200 working hours are lost a year to doing things that they're asked to do for no reward and no recognition. So they're not things that are going to further them in their career. Point being, pro bono doesn't have to mean that you pay from your own pocket, especially if you're a parent and especially if you're a single mom. I'm going on a trip soon and my expenses are being paid, because it's really important that we are not paying out of pocket for things that we are happy to take on for whatever reason, right? Very important. So get your expenses paid. That is separate to your earnings from doing this. Really important. Right. There are other ways you can benefit from doing this other than the money, especially when you're getting started. And this is the equation that you have to arrive at, which is, what do I really need right now to cement this pillar in my offering, in the things that I earn from? Videos. Ask for the video of the event if it's being recorded. If it's not being recorded by the organizer, try and get it recorded. Have a friend do it. The video is important for you for lots of reasons, whether it's you looking back and going, oh, I like the way I did that. I don't like the way I did that. That's one use of it. But also, it's about you having something to share, to put on your website, to put on your profile, to share with potential clients in the future. Ask for testimonials from people in the audience, testimonials from the organizers, testimonials from people involved in the event. Again, use them for your future self, your future business. Here's an important one: access to the people in the audience. Will you have access? I say this because sometimes you end up speaking and people just vanish and disappear. There's no networking. It's partly to do with when you end up speaking, what's happening next, and the way the event is organized, but it's also to do with whether there are networking breaks or if it's all being crammed in, like no space for people to breathe and talk and have a chat. So when you decide, it's not just based on money, it's based on lots of other factors. When you're at the start of your journey, you're going to want to have the other factors. They're going to be much more important to you than if you are later on in your journey. And the thing is that the more you are doing the get better phase, so you've started, people coming to you, you're getting a name for yourself, the more you do that, and the more consistent you are in how you show up, and I'll give you that example in a minute, of course, the more money you can ask for. Money. There is no hard and fast rule. We're inventing this as we go on in life. I invented my fee structure decades ago. What do I suggest that you do? You say to yourself, what's the minimum I'm happy getting for doing this? What's the minimum amount? And you factor in all the other things that might benefit you, depending on the stage that you're in. If you don't get that minimum, you say no. Yeah, if you don't get that minimum. Now, I'm not saying go in with the minimum. I'm saying if there's a barter negotiation, you have that level beyond which you're not going to be happy doing it. You're going to be thinking, I wish I didn't. I can't believe you. Forget it. Just don't do it. All right. But that's the thing. If it's the right event, the right audience, the right thing that's going to cement your credibility, footprint, your known expert persona, then you'll balance things out in your head. Consistent. Such an important thing. There was a huge global event in the construction industry. 3 people were given the opportunity to speak at it. And they wanted to be known for this thing that they were going to be speaking at. But what did they say? They said no. They said no, and they nominated somebody else in their organization. Why do I bring this up? Because being consistent is important. And that includes, if you want to be known for something, then you say yes to the opportunity of being known for that thing. Maybe you don't feel comfortable yet. Maybe you feel, I'm not really credible. Well, actually, you are. Own it. If you're an expert and you're great at your job and what you know and what you do, own your credibility, okay? The comfortable bit, get in touch. I can help you. But, watch these sorts of videos. The more you do it, the more comfortable you will get. I promise. And be consistent. If people offer you the chance for something that you really want to be doing, known for, depending on where you're at in the 3 steps, and other factors like money, time, travel, all these other things, yes. Don't say no because you're scared. Say no for another reason. If you want to be known for it, be consistent in how you show up, and be consistent in being available. Now, available doesn't have to physically be, you're somewhere physical. It can be online. It can be with articles. It can be in some way that you're saying to the world, hey, look, I'm great at this. I'm sharing what I know and do. I am a known expert. The other stuff will come. The paid work, the gigs, the being a speaker. That'll happen if you are consistent in how you put yourself out, what you put yourself out for, and you are accessible. All right. I hope that helps. In fact, I'd love to hear from you. Have you had the opportunity to be a speaker and you said no because there's a specific thing that's held you back? What is it? I'd love to know. Drop me a message, comment below the video. And do you want to be a speaker? Do you want to be known? What are you doing about it? I'd love to know that too. So at the very end, these 3 points here at the top, you want to be known. You want to be known for your expertise and your brilliance. You do not want to be a gap filler. No, you don't want to be a gap filler. And you want to be with the right people. Is it a good fit? Okay, so not everything's going to be a good fit. I hope this helped. Remember, this is how you get to be a brilliant communicator. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.